What is up, everybody? Welcome to our very first segment of Spooky Story Time, where I tell some ghost stories, some spooky stories, and y'all just get creeped out at 3 a.m. while you're watching this. Why don't you grab some snacks, go grab something to drink, turn down the lights, and let's get spooky. For some context, my channel used to be a vlog channel, and I used to do spooky segments here and there, and then I realized all the spooky stuff was always blowing up and doing great, and I'm like, why don't I just do spooky stuff? I attempted it during the pandemic, didn't work, but now my second time attempting it, it's been working amazing. So to everyone that's been watching all my spooky content, from cartoon conspiracies to some of the ghost hunting videos I did to now with all the reaction videos and stuff like that, thank you. I love you, and I hope the boogeyman doesn't grab you late at night. And if you're wondering what I'm drinking, it's not coffee, it's actually pre-workout. Yeah, I always tend to record my videos right before I go to the gym, so I drink this junk and I get very emotional because, you know, pre-workout just messes you up. Boom, spooky story number 1, pre-workout, it's scary. No, but let's talk about how our past generations, starting from my parents and grandparents, have the creepiest stories ever. My parents are from Latino America, my mom is from Mexico, my dad's from Guatemala. I was born here in LA. But my dad, more my dad's side than my mom's side, even though my mom does have some creepy AF stories, my dad has some creepy, horrible, horrific, horrifying stories that I heard as a young age, and now that I'm older, a full-on adult, it still marks me, it still hits me, it still scares me. I'm pretty sure if you're Latino, or you're like Latin American, or if you're from Central America or South America, you've heard some spooky stories, some crazy stories that to this day you're just like, I don't want to hear this again. Well, I'm here to remind you of some of those stories, so buckle up, buddy. This first story, now that I'm older, probably has to do with mental health and being very sick at the same time, and just having that sense of doom. And we'll get to it right now. I've always been a curious being. Since I was a kid to now that I'm 32, I've always been a curious person. I think this is why I've achieved so much, and this is probably why I have felt so much in life, because I'm just curious. But I had a tío. Tío means uncle in Spanish. Like, ¿qué onda, tío? What's up, tío? So my tío had this story of an uncle he had, that every morning when his tío would wake up, he'll tell my tío, Ruben, let's call him tío Ruben, he would tell tío Ruben, mijo, el diablo me visitó. The devil came to visit me. And my tío Ruben would be like, what do you mean? It's like, see, the devil came to visit me. And my tío Ruben would be like, what are you talking about? It's like, mijo, my time is coming. So my tío Ruben would tell my dad, like, hey, you know, like, my uncle, he's not doing well. I think he's very sick. I should take him to the hospital. Maybe not. And this is in Guatemala. And my dad would be like, you know what? Let's probably take him to the hospital the next day. So around the afternoon of that same day, tío Ruben's uncle was like, mijo, te voy a contar una historia. And my tío Ruben was like, okay. And then his tío started, it's like, when I was small, my mother, she made a pact with the devil. And then my tío Ruben was like, say what? Sí, con el diablo. When I turned 65, she would sacrifice me and give me up to the devil for riches and all the wealth that we have in the land. And my tío Ruben's uncle was actually very wealthy. His whole family, his lineage was wealthy. But my tío Ruben was like, tío, vete a dormir, no estás bien, no estás bien. So that night, my uncle Ruben put his tío to sleep and was like, tío, buenas noches, God bless, I'll see you tomorrow. As my tío Ruben was falling asleep, he heard some like whispering in his room, like, my tío Ruben opens his eyes and he's like, what the hell's going on? So he goes to look over where his tío was at, and he's like, tío, are you okay? And tío was asleep, snoring. He's like, okay, it's nothing, it's just me. So tío Ruben went back to sleep, and all of a sudden, he hears boom, like something heavy fell on the floor. Tío Ruben gets up, runs to his tío's room, and he's like, tío, are you okay? And then his tío said, Ruben, el diablo me tiró. And my tío Ruben was like, no, tío, you fell. It's like, no, devil dropped me. The devil dropped me. It's like, no, you're okay. He's like, no, I'm not okay. The devil's gonna get me soon. So my uncle had to put his tío to sleep and kind of sleep in the room with him. But he said he put like a bed on the floor and just slept there. Next morning, he wakes up early around like 6-7 a.m. and his tío was not in his bed. It's like, what the heck? So he gets up, he looks for his tío, and his tío is literally just sitting in the kitchen table, just eyes wide open. And then tío Ruben was like, hey, tío, ¿qué tienes? Are you okay? Are you alright? And his tío was like, mijo, es mi último día aquí. And my tío Ruben's like, don't say that, you're not gonna die, you're okay. We're gonna take you to the doctor later on today. No, mijo, it's okay. You don't have to take me. The devil already told me he's coming for me. My tío Ruben was like, tío, no hay ni un diablo aquí, no hay nada, eso no existe, te vamos a llevar al hospital, no estás bien. They were fighting back and forth about taking the uncle to the hospital. Tío Ruben was like, I gotta take you. His tío was like, no. So it got very messy, to the point where they're like, fine, I won't take you tonight, but I'll take you tomorrow first thing if things get worse. It's like, okay, mijo, take me tomorrow. So there, you know, tío Ruben left, went to go do his things. He comes back, he finds his tío laying on the floor. He's like, tío, are you okay? Like, all shocked. He's like, mijo, recuérdate esto, nunca hagas pacto con el diablo. Never make a pact with the devil. My tío Ruben was like, what are you talking about? Never make a pact with the devil. His uncle gets up and goes to his room and says, buenas noches, mijo. Closes the door, goes to sleep. My tío Ruben was like, what the hell is going on? So later that night, I think my tío was watching TV or he was just hanging out in the house. All of a sudden, he says he starts to hear somebody screaming in the room, and he's like, oh my gosh, my tío, my uncle. So he leaves the couch where he's at and goes and knocks like on the door, tries to open it, and it's locked. He's like, what's going on? And all you hear is like, mijo, ya llegaron, mijo, they're here, and just screaming. Tries to open the door. All of a sudden, the door just unlocks apparently. He opens it, and his uncle's on the floor. And he's like, tío, what's going on? And he starts shaking his uncle, but his uncle has passed. Lifeless body, just there. Talk about some sleep paralysis or some demonic entity. As sad as this story may be, as scary as it could be as well, I just feel that the uncle was just going through some mental health stuff. And in Latin America, I think the scariest thing about Latin America is like they don't really believe in that stuff. They think you're just emotionally weak, or you're just emotionally not mature, or you're just very soft, and they just call you a bunch of names. I'm pretty sure now, being in the present time, it's very different. Maybe I'm pretty sure there could be more, opportunities of psychology, psychiatry, therapists, and all that stuff. But this uncle passed away there in his sleep, you can say, a la Nightmare on Elm Street. Growing up in church, we're always told to be careful with who you pray to and what doors you open, because sometimes you may open some doors that are not from God. You know, they're spiritual, but they're not God. And I do believe in Latin America, they practice a lot of witchcraft. As a matter of fact, my dad's side of the family, they did a lot of occult stuff, a lot of witchcraft stuff. To the point that I made a whole video how my room, this room tends to be haunted, or was haunted, or is haunted. And in the basement, which is right below this room, I had an uncle that did witchcraft, and my dad had to kick him out of the house. So was it the devil that came to visit my uncle's uncle? I don't know. Was there a witchcraft or a demonic or a devil pact made? I wouldn't be surprised, because sometimes, yes, these stories are very common and popular in Central America. But y'all being the viewer, what do you think? I mean, do you have a story similar to this? Am I the only one that heard something like this at the dinner table? I don't think they told me this to scare me, because we still pay our respects to my tío Ruben's uncle, which I never met him. I met my tío Ruben many times, of course, but everybody claims like he was just not mentally there. They're like, oh, el diablo se le subió, meaning the devil went on top of him, like the devil got control of him. Y el diablo se lo subió y nunca fue el mismo. He was never the same. I don't know, but I do want to know, has this happened to any of your family members? If so, please write in the comment section down below. We can use it as a therapy session to talk about it, because this story really messed me up. I'm gonna end the video here. This is episode 1 of Spooky Story Time. I can really make more of these episodes if y'all like, because I have so many stories that I've heard, and I read a lot of stories too. And as much as I love finding spooky videos and reacting to them, I just love talking to y'all and really just being honest with some of the ghost stories I've heard. So let me know if this works. You will be getting more content regardless, but this is something I love. Spooky Story Time. Alright, love you guys. God bless. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to his YouTube channel, tell everybody about the Spooky channel, and I'll see you guys in another spooky episode. Bye!